What happens at laser tag never stays at laser tag.
Laser Unfocused Tag Talk.
Laser Unfocused Tag Talk.
I feel like you could be like in Ghostbusters or something.
Oh my God, you have got some stories.
Let's talk about laser tag.
Who knew you were a laser tag legend?
Time to get laser unfocused. Tag Talk with Tivia.
Welcome to Laser Unfocused Tag Talk. Hi, I'm Tivia. I recently played a personal laser tag milestone, and today we're going to learn about the arena and business where it all took place. So recently I had the opportunity to visit Recoil Trampoline Park in Valdosta, Georgia, and it was my 700th arena. And today I'm getting the chance to talk a little bit with owner Trent Coggins about his business and what has made it a successful, independently owned FEC featuring laser tag. Welcome, Trent. How are you today?
I'm great. Thanks for having me.
Glad to have you and glad to have a chance to talk. I selected Recoil Trampoline Park, having good vibes about it because you and I have interacted at a couple of the amusement expos, and I know that you're all about like growing the education and growing the wealth of things that you can bring to your customers. So from that vantage point, I was excited to see what you had.
What an honor to have you on the 700th arena. I'm sorry I personally couldn't be there, but my staff just enjoyed that entire day. It was a lot of fun, and we certainly appreciate you thinking about Recoil for that big event there. What an honor.
Well, your staff was wonderful, and so you've clearly built something very cool down there in Georgia.
Yeah.
And I'd love to start by just getting to have a little background about when and how did you first get involved with the family entertainment business and launching Recoil Trampoline Park?
It's an interesting story. I'm the father of 4 boys, and Valdosta, Georgia is a small town. We have 100,000 people in our city and county. So not a very big place at all. And we have the trouble that most smaller places have. There's nothing for our children to do here. My wife, Anna, is pretty well known for keeping us busy. She woke me up on a Saturday morning, which I was a little disgruntled by, and said, get up, we're going to a trampoline park. And I said, what the hell is a trampoline park? And I had no idea, no clue at all. We had to drive a significant period of time just to get there. Again, nothing else like that in our neighborhood. And I immediately fell in love with the business. I'm not one of those helicopter parents, but I did watch my kids play for a little bit. But I remember going and buying a Coke and sitting and just watching the front door. And it's not hard to count by 20. There was a lot of money coming in that front door, and I immediately became enthralled with the business. So I came back the next week and started making phone calls. The only thing I knew about the business at that time was that it was primarily a franchise type of business. So I picked up the phone and started calling franchises, and it was some disappointing phone calls. My little town did not fit neatly within their boxes. We may not have had the right income or size or number of students or whatever the case may be. All 3 that I contacted that week told me the same thing. It just wouldn't work in Valdosta. I thought they were wrong. I thought that we had a big enough population that it would work. At the time, I had no idea that things like IAPA or an amusement expo or consultants or any of that type of information existed. So I just went out and started doing research and found other communities like Valdosta that they had things similar and it was working. So I said, screw it, I'm going to do it on my own. And so I built Recoil really not knowing exactly what I was doing. But we built a trampoline park that opened in September of 2019. Most people in town thought I was a little crazy, which I very well may be. But we opened to rave reviews. It just went crazy. I did a pretty good job of anticipating all of our expenses, but really it was a guessing game when it came to revenue because again, I didn't have a franchise to rely on, didn't know that industry information was out there. So I just guessed. And we far exceeded anything that I thought that Recoil would do in that first 5 months that we were open. Of course, that 6 month kicked us in the gut. That was COVID, and we had to shut down. So, but I could tell within that first 5 months that the business was popular enough and our customers were already requesting other things. So I went to Amusement 360 with Creative Works and fell in love with laser tag and just said, okay, that's going to be phase 2. So we moved forward with that. And then since then, again, I thought it would just be a trampoline park, but we've since added virtual reality. We have a hyperdeck. We have a full arcade. We now have mini go-karts, and we've even expanded outdoors. We're doing ropes course, climbing walls, and even a construction zone outside. So we have grown tremendously in the 6.5 years now that we've been open. And it's been a tremendous amount of fun for me to see this business grow.
Well, that is awesome. And what a testament, especially with COVID right there at the beginning.
Absolutely. I mean, we're fortunate that we're in Georgia. We were able to open up a lot quicker than most, but and it did. I attended Amusement 360 in February of 2020, literally days before the shutdown, made the decision that we were going to move forward. And then next thing you know, COVID hit. It wasn't until the end of 2020 that I kind of felt comfortable again saying, okay, let's revamp these ideas of expansion. And then it probably took maybe 10 months once that got started to getting around to opening up laser tag for us. So a neat story.
Yes, definitely. And you're kind of jumping to one of my questions. I was curious if laser tag was part of the plan from the beginning or not, because
it really wasn't. Like I said, I was looking for something else. I knew that laser tag existed. Went to a seminar, of course, leaning towards laser tag, but really not making the decision. I thought it would be a good opportunity for us to extend what we already had seen as our core market. We were really hitting it hard in that age 4 to age 12 range. And I was looking for something that I could maintain the attention of the 13, 14, 15-year-olds. And I saw that within my own family at the time. My younger kids at the time were, all about the trampolines, but, the older two were kind of fading out of that. And, what's going to be something that holds their attention? So it really was a kind of a no-brainer if that was our goal, obviously monetary, but providing additional entertainment and then trying to expand that range of ages. Laser tag just fell right into it as the perfect phase 2.
Well, and has this really panned out the way you thought? How big of a piece of your business is the laser tag at this stage?
Absolutely. It's one of our main attractions. Trampolines will always be our core anchor. It's kind of what we're known for. Still haven't taken Trampoline Park out of the name. It's probably going to remain there forever. But we're really well known in our area for laser tag. And so it's I would say it's in the top 3 of what we're doing. Of course, that fluctuates from time to time. But we have a really neat laser tag. I think it promotes additional play. I think you play that one time and you kind of want to play it again, just to see what else is, what maybe other things that you missed. It's a very interactive arena. So I like it a lot.
It is a very cool arena. You've got some neat props in there, including an A-10 plane and some helicopters jutting out of the walls. And so tell me a little bit about the size and the style of the arena and what went into your choices for it.
Okay, so it's a 3,500 square foot arena. We didn't have enough ceiling height to put a two-story, even though that's what I originally wanted. So instead of that, we kind of have not really a tree house, but a fort that our students, or not students, our customers can get up in and have a lot of fun. It's a Creative Works themed arena. But it's a unique arena. Valdosta is home of Moody Air Force Base. And so when we really got down and started trying to design something, I knew I wanted something unique, maybe something that no one else out there had. And so we started looking at the things that Valdosta was famous for. Well, if you know anything about Valdosta, Valdosta is famous for two things. Number one, football. We have the winningest high school football team in America right here in Valdosta.
Wonderful.
Yeah, absolutely. The Valdosta Wildcats have won more high school games than any other team in the nation. And then we're famous for Moody Air Force Base. I really couldn't see how I could develop a laser tag game around high school football. And so Moody Air Force Base was the obvious choice at that point. Add on to the fact of that we trace how many people come into our facility that are military because we give them a discount, and about 27% of our patrons are military. So we knew that we were drawing from that crowd pretty significantly. We kind of wanted to give something back, so we created, our arena is completely, an homage to Moody Air Force Base. We don't call it Moody Air Force Base, but we call it the Save the Base, game, where our base is the theme is our base is under attack. We're calling upon all able-bodied people to come forward and help save that base. So there's a lot of things that relate to Moody Air Force Base. Primarily that A-10 Warthog. We are one of the homes of the A-10 Warthog here in Valdosta. You cannot go outside without seeing a couple of them riding around. Our community really loves them. So in order to kind of pay homage there, we put an A-10 in there. We also are home to the pararescue jumpers, which if you're watching any of the news that's happening, pararescue jumpers were famous in that recent rescue attempt of the downed pilot over in Iran. They are based here as well. So I don't know if you noticed it doesn't get as much attention as the A-10, but there's also an HH-60 in that arena that flies around and makes a good bit of noise. And that's because the pararescue jumpers use that HH-60. And so we see those quite often as well.
Well, from past interactions we've had that I am a big fan of theming, and I really love when there is something unique and something localized about the theming. So you nailed that as far as, tying into the local area, which I love. And one of the things that really jumped out to me was something that sometimes gets overlooked, the briefing.
Yep.
Now, when I was first taken into your briefing area, there was a video monitor, and I say video monitors quite a bit. But what ended up showing to us was not the typical briefing video, and it wasn't a boring video at all either. It really caught the attention because it started with a soap commercial that got interrupted by an emergency newscast. And so clearly this is something that had to have been locally created, but I wonder if you could tell us about the video and what went into you deciding to go beyond just the standard videos that we normally see to explain the rules. How did you come up with this creative, clever lean to educate people about what was about to happen?
We obviously our theme was Save the Base. And so, under the impression that the base is under attack, we really wanted a local theme there. I didn't want to use the Moody name, but our base is under attack, and so we also didn't use the name Valdosta either. But in that video, you have a local anchor that breaks in on that commercial. That's actually a local commercial as well, by the way. Yeah, and so the production company that produced that video for me, that was a commercial that they had produced. And so you start with just a generic commercial. You're kind of wondering, why in the world am I seeing this commercial? And then it does, and the anchor breaks in and says, we're under attack. We're going to go to a live press conference with the mayor and the base commander. And so we had a local, I tried to get the actual mayor, who I'm friends with and know well. I tried to get him to actually be the actor, but he didn't really want to do that, which I understood. But we got an actor to be our mayor, and then another actor who is actually a military person to play the base commander. And man, he looks like, Captain Marvel or something. He just looks like he belongs and is a leader in the military. But the mayor does the call to action. We need everybody to come down and help fight and save the base. And then the commander goes through and kind of does the lay of the land. And this is how you use your gun. And then, we have A-10s actually flying over during the commercial, or not the commercial, the briefing video. It's really unique. And I'm very proud of the way it turned out, because it's actually filmed. I don't know if you recognize that, but it's actually filmed on our courthouse square in front of our actual courthouse. So pretty neat.
Well, I'll tell you, I've seen a lot of briefing videos, and more often than not, I'm seeing what has been supplied by the manufacturer. So
Right.
anytime there's an original video, it stands out to me. Sometimes the original videos are done to varying levels of success. I thought
Right.
yours was top notch, because it really does the thing that I think is so important to laser tag. It is immersive from the get-go. You're walking into, you're not quite sure what. If you've never played laser tag,
Yep.
you need to be able to tell people this is how the equipment works, but you
Yep.
did it in such an engaging way. And so I definitely thought that was one of the top briefing videos that I'd ever seen.
Well, thank you very much.
Very
It was
well
a
done.
lot of fun putting that together. We spent a lot of time on it. I actually drafted the majority of the dialogue that happened in there, and of course, the producers, put their spin on it as well. But it turned out to be, it really does set the stage. That's one of the bad things about laser tag, except with some of the changes that are coming now. You can't really see in the arena. You don't really know what to expect. So I think that video creates a lot of excitement, and we really have people ready to suit up, get in there, and start fighting. And seeing that A-10 take off, see that H-860 light up, it's pretty cool.
I agree. And, to my mind, again, having seen a lot of laser tag, when you're talking about the base is under attack,
Yep.
that exact terminology is used in other forms of laser tag. But you use Delta Strike at your system,
Sure.
as your system. And so I'd love to know kind of what decisions went into, or what factors went into the decisions to select the laser tag that you opted for, and how has that worked out for you?
I spent a lot of time looking at, all the systems that are out there. And I really liked Delta Strikes because, to me, the vests were lighter. Okay. And so I thought that, and again, looking that, we start at about age 4. Now we have I don't know that we have younger people play laser tag, but we have younger people within the facility. But with thinking that a smaller person would want to play, I really looked at that vest as, okay, that's going to stay on them, not hang off of them. A lot of the guns pretty much did the same thing. But to me, that was the defining factor for me. That's why I went with laser tag, or with Delta Strike. And I really like those guns, though.
Very good. And so having laser tag coming into the picture when it did, you've had a few years now with it. In the time that you've been operating this business, how have you seen the family entertainment sector change at all?
Well, I mean, people are asking for more interactive type of entertainment, which I think is exactly what our laser tag does. I think we provided them some of the things that they were already expecting. For instance, that A10, you can shoot it or it can shoot you, which, to be honest with you, that's a completely different story. I was a little worried about that. I was worried that there may be, 27% of our people are military, right? I was a little worried that there may be some negative stigma associated with shooting our own A10. I have found it to be the exact opposite. They love it. They love when the A10 starts shooting at them. If you don't know what the A10 is, it has a very distinct sound. We call it the Burt sound. We hear that all over Valdosta, and then you hear it in our arena. So you know that the A10 shooting at you when you hear that noise. You can also turn around and shoot at the A10 to get extra points as well. That I honestly thought there may be some pushback. Why are you shooting our A10s? They love it. They love it. So, but yes, we constantly fight we have to be better than what our customers can have on the sofa. So, laser tag to me does all of that. It gets them off the sofa, gets them involved. It also brings the parents in. We have, we may not have a lot of parents who jump, but we have a significant number of parents who will actually play laser tag and get in there and sweat and have some fun with the kids. So that we've had nothing but positive feedback from our laser tag.
Love it. And I will say one of the things that I have a tendency to do when I'm entering an arena for the first time is I look up. I try and figure out where are the targets hidden that I'm not supposed to notice immediately. And so that was the thing that as soon as I saw that plane in there, I'm like, there's got to be something going on here. Let's look up. And sure enough, there was a target right there. So that's how my mind works. I look for bases, I look for targets, I look for what have you maybe hidden as an Easter egg somewhere that I wouldn't know for. And also, talking about Easter eggs, these are things that your local community is responding to. I didn't know that those sounds were specific to anything. So it's kind of interesting to hear, how much you took that.
So there's a lot of Easter eggs in there, believe it or not. Obviously the A10 and the H860, but if you start looking into the paint and those types of things, I mentioned the pararescue jumpers earlier. There's a silhouette of pararescue jumpers coming down on a mountain to obviously go rescue someone. All sorts of little things like that were added in, either added in at the design phase or once we started implementing it. The installers were great. I could point over and say, hey, that'd be a good place for some A10s flying off, as a silhouette in the mountains or something, and they would add it. It was really neat. The other thing that we have, I don't know if you actually noticed it, but across the hall from laser tag, we have the laser tag or A10 party room, where it's the same type of theming. So if you want a laser tag birthday party, you'll have the same type of theming that you saw inside in that birthday party room. It's pretty cool too.
I love that. I did notice the party rooms, and I can't say for sure if I picked up on that, but it's kind of cool.
Yeah, it's right across. So we have a main group of party rooms, and then we have this one that's off by itself, which is near laser tag, and so just right across the hall. It's got pretty much the same design that you would see in there.
Excellent. So it sounds like you had a lot of input when it came to the designing. This wasn't just a cookie cutter for you. This was something that you had your hands in.
We spent a lot of time developing that. That may be what it took so long for us to get it in. I do remember at the end of 2020 starting those talks back up, and we didn't open laser tag until September, almost the end of September of 2021. So it took a while to develop, but was, well worth it. Well worth it. One of our top attractions.
Great to hear. Now, what have been some of your more out of the box ideas for promoting your business and your laser tag?
Well, let's see. We do a very good job, in my opinion, on social media. As a matter of fact, I think we probably do as good a job of that as anybody else that I have seen in the industry. So we really hit social media hard. I have a dedicated employee who handles all of that, and he is a kid at heart. His name is Cross. He is a professional wakeboarder, and he learned how to make all of these neat videos, videoing himself doing all of these tricks on a wakeboard. And so he started as a general employee, worked his way up to assistant manager, and is now completely in charge of all of our marketing, social media, and special events. And I tell him, I don't want you to sell anything. I want you to show fun. So a lot of the videos that you'll see that feature laser tag or anything else will actually be him inside the facility playing with other kids and then just videoing their interaction. And we have had tremendous success. A lot of following on Facebook, a lot of following on TikTok, and then Instagram as well. We just had one video have over 640,000 views. So a lot of attention. But it's all organic. It's all just showing fun. And we don't try there's very few times of the year that you will actually see us promoting an event or something. We hit, our summer specials pretty hard as far as, summer camps and those types of things. We have a pretty big Black Friday sale. So yes, we do the traditional marketing and try to sell you something on those days. The rest of the year, we're showing you what a good time you can have when you come into Recoil, and we get a lot of feedback from that. So I think that's something that we do a good job of. I'm proud of it, and I think we're gaining a lot of followers because of it.
Well, and I wanted to ask you about what has been your most successful revenue generating tactic. It sounds like this might fall right into that, but do you have anything else that you could point to in that?
We do. Are you talking about from a marketing perspective?
Well, what has brought the revenue in the door?
Well, I do think our marketing is bringing it in the door. I have to be honest. We pretty much are the only game in town. So we are lucky that way. We have a unique brand name. Everybody around us knows what Recoil is. I think we've dropped the trampoline park, at least in common lexicon. We're just Recoil. Everybody knows that. So we are lucky that we get that. But yeah, we do reach out. We have a lot of bounce back marketing techniques that we use. But I think just the fact that we're here, that we're open, clean, safe, and fun means people want to come back. I think the national average is something like 2.2 visits per year. We're way up in the 3 range. So we do see a lot of repeat business. And then our birthday parties, we do over 1,000 birthday parties a year. That really brings in a lot of business and keeps Recoil pretty vibrant.
Very good. Well, and as I mentioned before, you and I met at one of the trade shows, and one of the shows that was offering education sessions and networking with operators. So from going to a few of those now over the years, I'd love to know what has been your most valuable advice or tip or takeaway from the sessions or another operator.
Well, all right. So I mentioned earlier that I went to 360, and I actually told this gentleman, actually when we were together at Amusement Expo, I told him that I had found this piece of advice that he had given as part of his lecture, that I had written it down, and it changed that changed the way that I do business. And the gentleman I'm talking about is Russ Van Natta. You're probably familiar with him.
Of course.
In the very first session. So a couple of weeks ago, I was going through a lot of old paperwork, books. You get all sorts of information when you go to these trade shows. And I found the workbook that they gave me at 360, and I flipped it open, and literally on the second page, the first seminar was Russ Van Natta, and I wrote, and one of the phrases that he used was, "You are not your customer." And I wrote that phrase down, and it has been the way that I have transacted business for the last 6 years. And I actually saw him there. I took a picture of it and showed it to him and told him how much it meant to me, because he was the inspiration. He said that, and I took it to heart. And really, that's what we've added. As a story behind that, I'm really not a big arcade fan. I really don't like them, and I look at that from the perspective of the father of 4 boys. I used to say, if we go into an arcade, no matter how much I tell them early on when we go in, here's your money. These are all the credits that you're going to get. I don't care if you want to play more. I don't care if you don't have enough tickets. No matter how much prep that I did going into that facility, me and one child are going to get sideways. And so I just didn't like it. Our customers were begging for it. When you going to put an arcade in? When are you going to put an arcade in? And I went back to that saying, "You are not your customer," that Russ provided. And it was one of the best decisions. It really helped Recoil grow kind of to the next level. I think people were kind of expecting us to have something like that, and we didn't. But when we added it, it really kind of gave us, a well-rounded experience. So, yeah, that "you are not your customer" has been my mantra for the past 6 years.
All right. Well, clearly you added the arcade, and it
Yep.
looks got a lot of attractions. I really enjoyed seeing the redemption corner that has a lot of cool things.
Yep.
But when you got to the point of starting to take what your customers had to say and adding things based on that, did that influence other decisions as far as some of the other attractions that you have?
Yeah, believe it or not. It's kind of funny. Every time that we'll do we're thinking about doing or about ready to announce a new addition, we'll put on Facebook, we're getting ready to do construction. What do you think it's going to be? And you want to talk about some major feedback, just everybody's saying, it's going to be rock climbing, or it's going to be this, or it's going to be that. And really all they're doing is prepping me for the next construction project, and they're telling me online what they want. And so for instance, go-karts, that was one of the main things that they kept telling us, that they were hoping that we were about to unveil. Obviously it wasn't. So, when you see that go-karts was rising, to the height of, the majority of people asking for it, then we started looking at go-karts. We added those summer of 2025. So pretty neat. And we still do that. We're kind of running out of room right now, but we could have some other projects coming up pretty soon.
Very good. I understand your ropes course is one of your newer additions.
Yeah, we just opened that up in January. So the ropes course and the climbing course are all outside.
Which
So
I loved, because enjoying some of that summer weather in March was fantastic for somebody.
All right, so that's the thing, though. I'm really concerned with this. All right, so here was my thought process on outdoors. All right, so we're in South Georgia.
Mhm.
We're practically in Florida. It is hot as Hades down here. I know I can convince people to come and play indoors, but I wasn't sure whether or not I could convince them to play outdoors. Now, we opened that facility in January. It's still relatively mild in April. I don't know what it's going to look like in August. We'll see. But it was a pretty in the grand scheme of things, it was a pretty inexpensive way to get outside to see if they would go out there. And so far, I've been extremely surprised. It has been really popular, especially that ropes course. But then we added some climbing features. I don't know if you noticed, but one of our climbing walls is actually our logo. You can climb up our logo. We have a spring in our logo, and you can kind of climb up that. It's pretty cool. And then the other thing that we did, we added the construction zone, which basically excavators, grapples, and cranes that actually work. You run them like, the real machine. They don't roll, but they go back and forth. The arm articulates. Those have been just as popular with the parents as they have the kids. And I have to admit, I find myself outside from time to time digging a hole in the sandbox with the excavator, just like the kids are doing. So it's a lot of fun.
Definitely. And on the note of the rock climbing wall with the logo, something I also always advocate is having a place where your logo is front and center for photos.
Yep.
One of the first things that I noticed as soon as I walked in was, if I looked just to the side of the entrance, there's a big wall with a giant Recoil logo that is just perfect, made for photos. And so
we get tons of photos there. People tag us constantly. We take photos of the people who win big prizes in arcade and post all of that out there. So yes, it's been a good spot for the selfie station. We have a couple of those. We have that one, which is kind of our main one, the one that you're talking about outside with the climbing wall, and then there's one also in go-karts. So yeah, we try to do that. If I can get people to tag me, that's free advertising. I'll take it.
Definitely let your customers do that work for you.
Absolutely.
Is there anything that, as an operator, you've learned through experience now that would be helpful to operators coming up in the industry?
Absolutely. I think I mentioned it a little bit earlier. I had no idea the amount of information, help, education, all of the above is out there for you. I built Recoil 100% just saying, how do we build a trampoline park? I had no idea that there was so much help. But I did do one thing right. So when we decided to do this, we took the project on as a family, and we visited 14 different FECs prior to opening the doors. And I was lucky. I had my own little focus group, and I became the coolest dad ever because, we would literally drive somewhere just to go to a trampoline park. We were buying VIP passes. They could, whatever they wanted to do in there, it was always a yes versus a no. But they had to come back into the car afterwards and tell me what they liked and what they didn't like and why. And I learned as much from going to those places. I could learn a lot with me evaluating the place, but I learned as much from my kids as I did on my own, and there were things that they liked. There were things that they didn't like. One of the things that they didn't like, I've got 4 boys. They're all together like doorsteps, but when you put them all together, there's a pretty widespread age gap. There were some places that wouldn't let them play together because of the age. So, if you're under the age of 8, you go this way. And if you're over, you go that way. My kids didn't like that. And so, I understand the theory behind it. The theory is, the little kids could get bowled over by the bigger kids. And yeah, that is a problem. I respect it. But at the same time, the little kids wanted to play with the big kids. So we just did things like that. How do other people run their business? What's working for them? What did we like? What did we not like? And we really did a good job of that. But so that would be the 2 things that I would tell somebody now if they were coming to me to build a brand new facility. Number one, get out and see as many facilities as you possibly can. There is no amount's too small and no amount's too big, but you got to get out there and see what's working. And the other thing is you really got to go and check out the industry that's out there for you, the education that we receive when we go to these events, top notch. That's why I love speaking at them now. I'm typically on a panel or something at each one of these events. It's been a lot of fun to do that, to give a little bit back. But just the people that you meet that can help you, that I had no idea existed. That's my two pieces of advice to anybody interested in joining our industry.
That's awesome. And I think that your little homegrown focus group is a great idea. And
I told somebody, you either need to take your kids, and if you don't have kids, find some kids, right? Go through the neighborhood, tell their parents that you'll take care of them for the day. You pay their way in, and you're going to get a lot of information. If you listen to them, they'll tell you. Kids will tell you, and they'll tell you, hey, the basketball game, it didn't work. Took my tickets, took my money, stuff like that. You'll get all sorts of information from kids, and even down to 5, 6, 7 years old. They're going to tell you exactly what they think if you ask them and value their opinion. And so it's a lot of fun.
Absolutely. Well, I like to end my interviews with some rapid fire tag talk. But before we do, is there anything else that you'd like to share with us about your business?
No, I'm very proud of how it's grown. It really is an endeavor that keeps me young. We haven't mentioned this, but I am trained as a lawyer and currently a professor. And Recoil is probably the best thing that I have done professionally. And I have had a full career, but I'm more proud of Recoil than I am any other accomplishment. So.
That's tremendous. Well, then, shall we move on? I like to do
right.
Rapid fire tag talk is quick questions to you and quick answers back. You game?
All right.
All right. Sort of playing off of your focus group studies, my first question is, besides your own, what has been your favorite laser tag arena to visit?
Oh, I really liked Andretti's in Atlanta. It was a lot of fun. They also had a military theme. They had a helicopter going on the outside. And that was one of the things that really started moving me towards my theme.
Awesome. What has been the most memorable thing that you have ever seen happen at your arena?
Most memorable thing. We had a group we typically have a group of airmen that will come in and play in our facility just about once a month for their PT. And to watch them play laser tag under the A10 is a ton of fun.
Awesome. What's your favorite energy drink to keep you moving when you're on the go?
Coffee.
Love it.
Black and hot.
Favorite brand of We Never Run in the Arena shoes?
Well, right now I'm running in some New Balances. So, yep.
And the mod that I got right before that trip.
Yep.
All right. And best reason to play laser tag at Recoil Trampoline Park?
Seeing that A10.
That's a good one.
A10. It's one of a kind. You're not going to see that anywhere else.
All right. Well, I'm glad I had the opportunity to see it and experience it. Had a great time. And I want to thank you very much for your time. That's my guest, Trent Coggins, owner of Recoil Trampoline Park in Valdosta, Georgia. Thank you so much, Trent. It was a great time.
Thanks for having me. Yeah, it was great. Thank you very much.
Thanks for checking out this episode of Laser Unfocused Tag Talk. Listen for more episodes on the first and third Friday of each month. Want to be a guest on an upcoming episode? Find out more and follow my blog and website at TiviaChickLovesLaserTag.com.